quickly, we had a trial a couple weeks ago. It wasn't my trial. It was another attorney that he had hired, but I was brought on as a consultant to help the attorney make sure he asked the right questions during trial, in case we had to appeal. If there were, because I'm also retired law enforcement, if there were investigative missteps that I identified, I could say, hey, you need to ask them this. Why didn't they do this? Why did they do that? Because they should have known better. So I was just a consultant on the case, and the good news is we got a hung jury. The bad news is it looks like they're going to try it again. And so the purpose of this event here today is multifold. The first is to show support for Mr. Chad Summers. And I want to say when we shared the event with the local media and it was posted on social media, some of the local groups, who here's from Rockwall? Anybody here from? So we got one. I know there was someone else.
Three.
Okay. And it really disturbed me a little bit that a lot of the comments were about Mr. Summers' weight. As if your Second Amendment rights depend on your body fat index, your body fat mass index. As if your rights depend on how you're dressed, as your rights depend on what you look like, what kind of job you had, where you are, those kinds of things. So first of all, I was really hoping more people from Rockwall would kind of be here, but it's obvious that there's, except for the few exceptions here, Rockwall's got kind of this butter mentality. And what do I mean by that? Oh, I support the Second Amendment, but you shouldn't be walking with a gun through a park. I support the Second Amendment, but you shouldn't carry that kind of gun. I support the Second Amendment, but not when there's kids around. As if kids are any less worthy of protection.
You forgot it'll scare the kids.
Yeah. So
But only if they're trained.
that really kind of annoyed me. And it always pisses me off because they always start with, I'm an avid gun rights supporter. But, well, then you're not an avid gun rights supporter. I support the Second Amendment 100%. But, well, that's not 100%. Now, you can say something like, I support the Second Amendment 100% unless you're murdering somebody, but that's not what the Second Amendment's about. So that has nothing to do with it. I support the Second Amendment unless you're committing armed robbery. That's not what the Second Amendment's about. It's about the lawful keeping and bearing of arms. And there's two parts of that. The first is you have the right to keep, to have, to possess, to own, to purchase a firearm. But everybody seems to forget that second part, the bear part. To bear arms. You have a right to bear arms. What does that mean? That means to take the weight upon you, to support through, holding. So you got holding, carrying, all that kind of stuff. So if you don't support somebody walking through a park, and I can tell you, that day, Chad Summers had a reason for carrying that gun, and the cops are lucky he didn't exercise his reasoning. Because the whole point of a firearm in the Second Amendment is to oppose tyranny. And exactly what happened at this field, or at this park, earlier this year, was tyranny. I also want to preface this with saying this protest is not against Rockwall PD. I've had a great relationship with Rockwall PD. The chief, when he found out about this, and I called and I wanted to let him know, because in open carry Texas, we always try to work with law enforcement.
Right.
And so I always let him know what we're going to do. And every now and then you'll go, okay, well, just make sure you get a permit. Chief, I don't think you heard me correctly. We're having a protest. We don't need no stinking permit.
Nope.
Now there is an ordinance here that if it's 500 people or more, it's what's called a mass event. And at that point, because of resources, it's reasonable to expect a permit. There are reasons when, or reasonable times when you should have a permit. For example, if I want to block off the road because I'm going to do a march, I need a permit because now I'm keeping other people from being able to use the road. So this isn't a protest against Rockwall PD. This is a protest against Rockwall Police Officer Doss. This is a protest against Rockwall Police Officer Krause. This is a protest against Rockwall Police Officer Stewart. Was it Stewart?
Sure.
Stewart. And this is a protest against Rockwall police officer Lawson. Thank you. I knew it was an L.
Big L.
Big L.
Yes.
Yes.
That's who this is a protest against. Because what Chad Summers was doing that day is what many of us here are doing right this second.
Yep.
So if it was illegal back when he was arrested, it's illegal today. And I guarantee you we're not going to be getting arrested.
Nope.
And the chief even said we're not going to be getting arrested because he recognizes this is protected, what we're doing.
Yes,
not
sir.
only protected speech, but protected gun rights.
Yes.
And let me also tell you, because the video hasn't come out yet, I really tried to get that video out before today's rally, because I guarantee you, citizens of Rockwall, when you see this video, I hope you're as pissed off as I am. And all of the talk about what he was doing and, oh, he shouldn't have been doing this or he was doing that and this, you will see how absolutely corrupt that event was. So I'm going to go through it with you. Chad Summers on that day, and I can't remember exactly what day it was. It was like, I don't remember what day it was. He parks over here in the parking lot, just like all of us have parked. He grabs his rifle and his Gatorade, and he does 2 laps. He's already done 2 laps around this sidewalk. And this sidewalk just essentially encircles the park. I would guesstimate it's between a 1/4 mile and a 1/2 mile loop is what that is. So he's done, at least, in my estimate, because I just went and walked it, at least a 1/4 mile or a 1/2 mile walk at this point. Anybody here named Karen? Okay. So Karen calls. That's not her real name. Karen calls the police and says, there's a guy with a gun out here. She says he's not pointing at anybody. He's not threatening anybody. But she's scared. By golly, she's scared. Now on the stand, and she doesn't say anything about illegal conduct. Just a man out here walking with his gun. Doesn't say a word about him waving it around. Doesn't say a word about him pointing at anybody. Nothing. And again, he's already done 2 laps. As a matter of fact, he stopped and pet some dogs. One of the people who was walking had some dogs, and they stopped and talked to him, and he's petting the dogs. There was a woman with a stroller that stopped and talked to him, with a baby in a stroller. Yeah, that was scary. But yet this one woman who testified on the stand that she just finds guns scary. That she doesn't understand guns, she's never held a gun, and when she saw the gun, that's what she was afraid of. That's not what the law says. And so she even agreed on the stand, and this is, so I wasn't the attorney, by the way, in this case, all right? So I can talk about anything I want. I'm just a consultant in this case. However, he did just hire me to be co-defense for his next trial, so we're gonna win next time. And I'm not saying the other attorney did anything bad. It's just, you know, nobody knows the Second Amendment and Texas gun laws like I do, because I helped to write a lot of them along with Richard Briscoe over here.
Right.
So on the stand, she even admits that her fear is irrational. This is sworn testimony that her fear is irrational. So here's what happened, and this is what the video shows. And I know a lot of people are like, I don't believe you until I see the video. Okay, don't believe me, I don't care. But this is the facts. And these were given in open court. It's approximately, so there's a bench over here, you can kind of see this little bench and trash can over here right off the trail, right?
Yeah.
So when Chad gets to about that point, the officer pulls up here and she starts trailing him. She says something to him, and he turns around and she's like, hold on. He's like, no, you can come walk with me, but I ain't stopping unless I'm committing a crime. I ain't stopping, I'm walking. You can come walk with me if you want. Turns around and keeps walking. Nothing wrong with that.
Nope.
He's not committing a crime. It's a consensual encounter. You don't have to talk to cops if you don't want to talk to cops. Keeps walking. She unholsters her handgun. And she's walking through the park like this with her handgun. Who do you think is really the scary person in this park?
She is, by far.
Violating the park policy. Her firearm.
So she's following him, And about where that bush is right there behind the basketball hoop, that big sort of cluster of trees, kind of like this right here.
The juniper.
The juniper, thank you. I'm not an arborist. I'm an abolitionist, but not an arborist. So right about there, she says something to him as well, and he turns around and he's like, he's telling her, I am not talking to you as long as you got that gun in your hand. Put your gun away. If you want to talk to me, you put your gun away. So I ain't gonna do that. Whatever. They keep walking. The trail kind of, once it gets to this little grove of trees, makes a right, and it kind of starts coming back around here and then over here. So, but he says, so at one point, she essentially orders him to stop. He's like, well, I'll tell you what, I'll stop when we get to the shade. I'll talk to you when we get into the shade. So he gets over here into the shade. We're gonna do this walk for those of you that can. And I'll point everything out, sort of about all the steps and everything that we're taking. So he gets over here to the shade. Meanwhile, she's made a phone call, and she's even said on the radio that he's just walking. He's not hurting anybody, he's not threatening anybody, he's not breaking any laws, he's just walking, but he won't talk to me. Not a crime. So as soon as they get around this juniper, so the trail kind of curves over here to the right, and she kind of has to rush a little bit because she doesn't want to lose sight of him. So she kind of goes around, sees that he's gotten into the shaded area. She says, okay, you're in the shade, now will you talk to me? And he says, well, yeah, as soon as you put your gun away. And she's like, well, will you put your gun down? And it's on a sling. That'd be like asking me to take my gun off right now. I'm gonna have to, move it around and all that kind of stuff. He's like, no, and he's on a single point sling. Anybody not know what a single point sling is? All right, so let me get, come here a second, little sir. This is what's called a double point sling. So he's got the sling attached here to his rifle. He's got the sling attached here to his rifle. A single point sling is a sling that comes together and it's only attached at one point. Okay. So it's just kind of hanging there. The 2-point sling, that's a 2-point sling. I've got a 2-point sling. Pretty much everybody out here has a 2-point sling. Is yours a 1 point?
CJ.
2 point?
CJ.
There you go. There's a single point sling right there. In other words, a single point of contact between the sling and the firearm. So he's got a single point sling, and it's just hanging in front, perfectly legal. Whenever I'm carrying, if I'm carrying my rifle, I'll have it in front if I'm not carrying my sidearm, because this is my primary piece. This is my primary defense right here. But if I don't have this, my rifle is now my primary defense. So I have it in front of me because I need quick access to it. But if I don't need it for quick access, it's on my back because it's harder to access on my back. So he pulls over, so he tells her, he's like, well, I'll tell you what I can do. And he pulls his single point sling and he kind of tucks it under his arm on the opposite side, tucks it under his arm, and he's like, how's that? I'll make sure it doesn't move, and it's kind of behind him a little bit, but he can't move it because he's got all this stuff on, all this gear. And he kind of moves it behind her, and she holsters her handgun. They start having a conversation. He's explaining to her. She's admitting and agreeing that she's not doing that he's not doing anything wrong. I get it, it's constitutional carry. She's misquoting what the law is, but don't worry about it. She's like, you're not doing anything illegal. 3 other police officers show up. Males. They weren't there the whole time. They weren't there for the whole, I'm sorry, 2 males and a female. So it's a total of 2 females and 1 male. It doesn't really matter. I'm not giving gender for any reason. Just explaining who all's there. But the lead officer, Officer Doss, is in charge of the scene because she's the one that witnessed the legal conduct that they're trying to criminalize, apparently. And they're talking, and these other officers come up, and then they start interjecting. They start escalating the situation. Doss and him are having a good conversation, but at one point, I think they're trying to get him to identify. He refuses to identify because he doesn't have to. And he's like, well, look, y'all need to know, this is a consensual encounter. I can leave anytime I want. And she says, yeah, you can. What's the exact words, Ryan?
Yes, that's fine.
Yes, that's fine. Yes, that's fine. So what he does, he says, well, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go over here. So he's over there. He's pointing at the 7-Eleven. He says, he drinks his last bit of Gatorade, Powerade, and he says, well, I'm going to go and refill this because I'm thirsty. You're free to walk with me. He starts walking. The people who showed up later, he was already stopped when they show up because they're pulling their cruisers driving through this. Show up later, he's like, no, stop. They start chasing him, pointing an AR-15 at his head. The other officer's got her pistol to his head. He says, "I will fucking drop you, bitch." He's scared.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's scared at this point, so he starts to try running.
What's his name?
He's running away from the danger.
Defendant. Yeah.
And then he gets
No, he didn't say that.
the female officer that had arrived grabs him by the arm and tries to stick her gun to his head, and he grabs her wrist and is pushing her wrist away from his head. You can see it on the camera.
Yep.
He's holding it away from his, because he doesn't want to get shot,
No.
murdered in cold blood
Yep.
for doing absolutely nothing wrong.
Yep.
And they're doing this thing. You know, she's trying to shoot his ass. He's trying not to get shot. So one of the other officers comes up with his AR-15 and starts headbutting him with the back of his rifle, right in his head, using the buttstock of his rifle, beating him in the head. They get him on the ground. The officer starts punching him in the. There's a young lady here.
You know what?
The sensitive parts.
Yes. For the males. Yes. The unit.
Yes.
Yeah.
Starts kicking him in the sensitive parts. And punching him in the sensitive parts, because when they fall to the ground, his arm is underneath and his sling has come off and it's trapped. And again, this is all on video. His sling has trapped his arm underneath him, and you can see that, I mean, it's, you know, you can see it indented into his arm, that there's no way he can get his arm out from underneath him, because they're all on top of him. The sling has come down and wrapped around his arm, and now his arm is stuck underneath him, and they're beating the shit out of him. Sorry, that's all I can call it. Twice they threatened to murder him. The officer says, "I will fucking drop you, bitch." And the other one who says, "I will put a bullet in your head." For what? For walking on this trail and daring to exercise his Second Amendment rights. Now, do you know what they charged him with? Anybody know?
DC.
Disorderly conduct.
Nope. Well, that's one of them. Disorderly conduct's one of them.
Assaulting a police officer.
Trying to remove the
Assaulting a
gun.
police officer.
Trying to remove a gun.
Attempting to disarm a police officer. Attempting to take the police officer's arm. And their testimony is that when he's grabbing the arm, he's trying to get control of that pistol. Now, I don't know how you do that when your other arm is way over here and he's literally going like this. You know, he's got his arm, trying to get his arm in the air while he's got the cop's wrist over here. She's facing him. She's using her right hand, got the gun to his head. He grabs her wrist and pushes it away. She's trying to, so you see this pull and tug. Now the officer, or the state and the prosecutors, in their utter stupidity and ignorancy, who should lose their license,
Yep.
and the officers who should lose their license, I don't know, if somebody's pointing a gun at your head
That's a threat.
and you're going like this, are you seriously pulling the gun to your head?
No, hell no.
Well, that's their argument in court. He was trying to pull the gun closer to him so he could take it. How's he gonna do that when he's got a police officer right here, the gun's over here, his hand's way over here, and it's doing this? Never once does it reach around, reach across, nothing like that. So it boggles my mind. The biggest question between the jury is, what's the difference between control and access? Because they were trying to say that he had access or possession. I'm sorry, control and possession.
Control and take.
Take. That's it. Take. Yeah, take. What's the difference between control and take? And they're trying to say that just by controlling the gun, that's evidence of him taking the gun. And that was a jury question. They wanted to know, like, what's the difference? There's no legal definition for control and take. It's pretty obvious what those words mean. Yeah, he wanted to control her arm. He never once tried to take that gun.
Isn't the intent of the law to go against people that are actually trying to remove it?
Yes.
Yes.
So even if there's a semantics issue, the jury should have it in their head, you know, the law wasn't written for this situation.
Exactly.
That's jury nullification. They should say, no, that's crap.
BJF.org.
Yeah.
Sorry, I just had to.
So he gets his ass kicked. He gets arrested. They end up, and now, by the way, keep in mind, I'm sure everybody's at least seen one police video where, you know, someone's trying to take the gun. But I can tell you from experience, anybody else here former law enforcement or combat veteran, anything like that, that, you know, if somebody's trying to take your gun, somebody's going to say, especially a cop, he's trying to get my gun.
Yep.
Yeah.
He's trying to get my gun. Or he's got his hands on my gun.
Yep.
Or he's got his hands on her gun. He's trying to take her gun. None of that was ever vocalized. They realized that they screwed up and they invented this felony charge of attempting to take a peace officer's weapon. And that's where we are today. Again, we got a hung jury because, I'll just say it, juries are stupid.
Yep.
I have a conviction on my record because juries are stupid. It's a Class B misdemeanor of interference, but I was doing nothing wrong. Y'all remember the story of me hiking with my son back in 2013. Went through 2 trials. First one was a hung jury. Second trial was more corrupt than the first, and they made sure that the jury panel was aware of that and got a conviction for hiking with my son and daring to stand up for my own rights. So we're here today to support Chad and also to let Rockwall County know that if you let these little things happen, just because you don't like it, you don't have to like the fact that somebody's carrying a rifle. I mean, the reason I was down at 7-Eleven for so long was a gentleman got out of his car, approached me and said, is there any reason why are you carrying an AK-47?
Oh my God.
And I said, well, I'm here for the rally. We're having an open carry rally over there. Yeah, but why you got an AK-47? Because I'm here for an open carry rally. And, well, what's this open carry rally about? I said, well, we're here in support of, and I told him the story. And he's like, well, what was he doing? I said, he's just carrying his gun. Let me guess, some Karen called it, yes. Oh, okay, I get it now. So he changed his attitude. But it should not be when a person is clearly not a problem. And I don't care if you like it or not, because he tried to talk about the whole, I keep my gun concealed, I don't want anybody to know I got it. Oh, you know, it's, I want the element of surprise, you know, that kind of stupidity that the NRA has pushed.
Yep.
And, so, but thankfully I was able to sit down and have a conversation with him. If we allow or support police action, you don't have to support what Chad did that day. I mean, you don't, there's a reason that we don't walk around in Target anymore with our rifles or Starbucks or any of that. We did it for a purpose. That was to get open carry of handguns passed. And, you know, to make the point that, hey, look, I can carry this big ass rifle anywhere I want. But if you see my gun, I'm a criminal. And that was the whole point of doing that back then. But now I don't have to do that, right? And quite frankly, I don't think it's necessary. You know, they're going through what we went through in 2013. Florida is now in 2013.
Yep.
They're going through the same thing, and they're having the same stupid ass arguments we had here in Texas about carrying rifles.
Yep.
And it's going to happen for a few months. And there's going to be debates, and they're going to talk about legislation, and they're going to say what's right and what's wrong, and where you should and shouldn't carry a gun. But the fact of the matter is, it's legal, it's constitutional, they're not hurting anybody.
Yep.
And whether you like it or not, we have to support the ability of people to do it. You know, I went through trial down in Aransas Pass this week because I said fuck too many times at a city council meeting. I got charged with a crime.
Shit.
Yeah.
Fuck.
And, yeah.
Fuck,
And
fuck, fuck.
one of the things I told and we had a good judge. I'll be honest with you. I had a good judge. He knew this was a BS charge. And throughout the whole process, he kept telling the state, are you sure you want to do this? You know, are you sure you want to keep going forward with this case? He knew it was bogus, but there wasn't a legal reason, a reason based on law, that he was able to get rid of the case. Because there were some fact issues that needed to be resolved. And only a jury can determine fact issues in a case. But he tried. And then I remember at one point, you know, literally the jury, they come back for the first time and said they're deadlocked in my case. And we don't know what the numbers are. We just know they can't agree on guilty or not guilty. So I don't know if it's 5-1 against me or 5-1 for me. And so he asks him again, he's like, is there any deal y'all can make? And I said, Judge, I will spend the rest of my life in jail defending the First Amendment. I am not taking a plea deal.
Nope.
If I have to go to jail for 6 months, I'll get out and I'll go tell that city council fuck themselves again, and I'll spend another 6 months in jail. Because that's what I believe in. My oath is not only a lifelong oath to the Constitution, but it's also one that I'm willing to put my life on the line for.
Yes, sir.
The only way you're going to shut me up, the only way you're going to stop me from carrying a gun is to kill me. Literally, to kill me. Because if I'm in a wheelchair, I'm freaking setting up miniguns on my wheelchair.
Yeah, TJ. 2018 when they tased your ass.
Yeah.
Gary
you feel
Hayes at the
backwards on the head?
Capitol.
Yeah, exactly. If I've got crutches I got to use, you better believe that they're going to be detachable crutches and probably have some hidden barrels inside of them.
What about Kane?
Cane, same thing. So, I mean, you literally will have to kill me to keep me from defending the Second Amendment, even if I disagree with you. And I told the jury the same thing. I told the jury, I said, I probably agree with all of you guys. And this is what I kind of wish they would have said. I don't know what was said at closing arguments because we had to go. I wasn't able to be there. We had another hearing somewhere else, so I wasn't able to see closing arguments in the Chad Summers case. But what I would have said is, you don't have to agree. As a matter of fact, I can agree with you that is there really a reason necessarily to carry a gun into a park with a bunch of kids? And by the way, there weren't a bunch of kids here. No, not really. But you know what? I'll defend your right to do it all day long. And I'll even defend the police who get a phone call and show up to just ask questions. I'll defend that. Yeah, you can go and absolutely ask questions. Hey, what are you doing? But the minute that the guy says, I don't want to talk to you,
That's it. It's over.
that's it. It's over.
It's over.
It's over, period. End. Stop. And if you don't stop, that's where my support of you as law enforcement ends.
Yep.
Because now you're violating his rights.
Yep.
So, what we're going to do now, if we could, is, so I'm going to kind of lead y'all, those of you that are able to, we'll just do one lap. We won't do the 2.5 that he did. We're not here to get exercise. And here's the other thing, it's funny because the cops asked him, like, why are you carrying this? And he's like, I'm fat. I'm getting exercise,